I sat perfectly still while my brother Marcus outlined my supposed collapse to the judge: erratic behavior, self-endangerment, in need of urgent guardianship. My parents, Vivian and Harlan, performed their anguish with practiced tears into embroidered handkerchiefs, the very portrait of grieving low-country aristocracy. I stayed silent. I didn't protest. I simply rested my fingers against the discreet voice recorder sewn inside my sleeve and recalled the voice note Marcus had sent me at dawn. "This is for your own good, little sister." That phrase was their shield. Their concern wasn't love. It was camouflage. To grasp why I let them script me as the unhinged heiress, rewind to the humid afternoon 3 months earlier when grandfather's will was opened in the magnolia-shaded drawing room of Willowmere, our ancestral river plantation. The space smelled of lemon oil and century-old compromises. Grandfather, quiet patron of overlooked women artists, accumulator of hidden masterpieces, had rewritten the future in his final signature. He bequeathed me the entire $17 million estate and his private gallery of American Impressionists, Southern women painters, and the rare prints he'd collected in secret. Marcus received zero. My parents received nothing. The chandelier seemed to dim as the words landed. The backlash wasn't loud at first. It was a tightening coil. Marcus was their crown jewel, the renowned facial reconstruction specialist, the charming philanthropist, the son destined to preserve the family's luster. I was the footnote, the solitary sculptor who worked in the old carriage house, hands perpetually dusted with clay, living among tools instead of society pages. Grandfather had looked deeper. He knew about the offshore markers, the high-stakes poker tables in Monaco, the business ventures that were really gambling losses Marcus could never cover. He understood Willowmere would be carved up and sold to the highest bidder if it fell to Marcus. So he chose me, the overlooked one, and trusted I would guard what he valued most. Once the attorney departed, the mask dropped. Mother's sorrow vanished like morning fog. She fixed me with eyes that had once braided my hair and now tallied assets. "Marcus is in a difficult position," she murmured. "Unpleasant associates. We must liquidate quickly, to preserve our standing." Father nodded, already envisioning the auction catalogue. I studied them on the brocade settee, still elegant in their disappointment, and finally recognized the role I'd played my entire life. I wasn't a daughter. I was ballast. When Marcus faltered, I absorbed the blame. When he succeeded, I was the shadow that made him shine brighter. They required my diminishment to sustain his elevation. They needed my silence to amplify his voice. For the first time, I refused. I told them I would not sell. I would convert Willowmere into a retreat for women escaping economic control and psychological harm, a space where sculpture and clay therapy would help them rebuild strength and identity. The room went tomb quiet. Marcus's laugh sliced through it, brittle and cold. "You'd open our heritage to strangers before you'd rescue your own brother." "Exactly," I replied. "Strangers need sanctuary. You need consequences." That was the spark that ignited their campaign. 72 hours later I entered my studio and smelled iron beneath the familiar scent of wet clay. My 6-month restoration of grandfather's treasured Mary Cassatt pastel, mother and child in soft afternoon light, had been annihilated. The paper torn in savage vertical lines. Jars of oxide red hurled and shattered, streaking the walls like fresh wounds. It wasn't mere sabotage. It was a declaration. Then Marcus emerged from the dim corner, immaculate in his clinic scrubs, face composed in mock sorrow. "I tried to warn Mother and Father you were unraveling," he said gently. "Destructive rages. Property damage. Textbook instability." Outside, sirens climbed the humid air. Red and blue lights bled across the ruined artwork. He opened the door for the responding officers. "She's fragile right now," he told them, voice heavy with feigned grief. "Please handle her carefully." They saw a distinguished surgeon. They saw chaos. They saw me, shaking, dusted with red powder, the apparent aftermath of a breakdown. I could have shouted the truth. Instead, I froze. Utterly calm. I let them place me in cuffs without a word. I watched Marcus's perfect performance flicker with frustration. He had wanted spectacle, not stillness. The 72-hour psychiatric hold was engineered to erode resistance. I turned it into preparation. I answered every inquiry with measured clarity. I accepted the institutional routine without complaint. I treated the observation room as a kill, slow, controlled heat that would harden rather than shatter. My lawyer, a former federal prosecutor known for dismantling manufactured commitments, secured my release the instant the hold expired. No psychiatric history.
No pattern of instability. Only a brother with clear financial motive.
I anticipated escalation, legal filings, protective orders. Instead, my parents appeared at dusk on my porch, faces bare of makeup, carrying a tin of my favorite Beniseed cookies.
Mother sank to her knees on the tabby path. "We were misled," she whispered. "Marcus deceived us. We thought he was protecting you. We're severing ties. Come to supper Sunday."
"Let us show you we're choosing you now." I examined the cookies, the tears, the carefully timed vulnerability.
The performance was seamless.
"Sunday," I agreed. "I'll come."
They departed glowing with hope. Over the next days I prepared.
Hidden inside the antique pearl pendant I always wore was a miniature camera and microphone, high-resolution, crystal audio, sourced from a discreet surveillance supplier in Savannah. If they wanted a family meal, they would have one. But I would attend as documentation. The dining room at Willowmere glowed under candlelight and old silver.
Marcus presided at the head, unruffled. My parents played warm hosts.
When Harlan poured the wine, I caught the telltale bitter almond undertone.
Not vintage Cabernet, sedative.
I feigned sips, then slumped forward, eyes glazed, speech slurred.
They spoke without caution.
"Enough to convince the notary she's incapacitated," Marcus said.
"Guardianship by dawn.
Then we liquidate." I remained limp while they mapped timelines, buyers, and the story of my tragic deterioration. The following morning in court, Marcus delivered his testimony with clinical precision.
My parents wept on cue.
The judge was leaning toward approval, until my attorney entered the final exhibit.
The footage played. Their voices echoed through the chamber. The poisoning scheme. The plan to strip my rights.
Then the second clip, Marcus, 3 nights prior, systematically destroying the cassette, staging my episode.
The courtroom froze.
Marcus cried manipulation. But the estate's time-stamped security system footage was irrefutable. The judge enforced the will's destruction clause. Deliberate harm to the collection nullified all inheritance rights. All 3 were taken into custody on the spot. 7 months later, Willowmere reopened as the Cassette Sanctuary, a haven where women heal through sculpture and creative expression. The damaged cassette hangs in the grand foyer, untouched, preserved. A monument to endurance. I walk those corridors now carrying only my own story. For the first time, the light belongs to me, and it is radiant.